Ta-da!
There we go. Zakir, thank you for agreeing to come outside.
I have to thank you, and you're in my city, so welcome.
It's wonderful to be here in San Francisco.
Yes, it's great to have you here, and you are in this beautiful place, which is actually the center of a lot of art that happens in the Bay Area. We have a beautiful concert hall here, and so many beautiful studios where a lot of artists, are allowed to practice their work and, put their work in progress out there. So it's a beautiful place for art, and I'm glad you chose this formation to do this. So thank you.
You are really a musician that embraces so many different styles. I mean, if I look back on your spectacular career as an Indian musician, as somebody with John McLaughlin, with Shakti, with the list is endless. From George Harrison through to classical artists, through composition, through to performance art. How do you manage to embrace all of these cultures?
I guess I'm lucky because I came to this part of the world from India when I was very young, and so therefore able to bend in any direction that I needed to be able to fit in. So that was very important, and I was allowed by my father, and also to a certain extent Ravi Shankarji, to be able to go out and experiment, go out and learn about all other sorts of genres of music that are out there, as long as, and this was Ravi Shankarji's direction to me, always go back to India, perform there regularly, the whole length breadth of India, make sure that you establish your pedigree there. And so as long as you do that, by all means come out and experiment. And he himself did it, Ravi Shankarji, and so did my father. So there was this added support from them to be able to go out and do that. And lucky me, I ran into musicians who were able to take me by the hand and walk me through their world and show me what it's all about, whether it was John McLaughlin or whether it was Charles Lloyd or Herbie Hancock or Dave Holland or Chris Potter, anybody else, and Bela Fleck, Edgar Meyer. So they were all, people who took me around, showed me what they were all about, taught me, and that helped. And having that kind of a mindset put into me from the very young age, that it's always good to know languages that are out there so that you can speak your music in all the languages that are there so people can communicate with you.
Your father, Alaraka, one of the greatest tabla players, and I don't know if you know this, but I actually met him when I was a little child. He came to
amazing, because I met him when I was a little child too.
You knew him certainly a lot better than I did, but he came to Gstaad in Switzerland together with Ravi Shankar to play with Yehudi Menuhin. And I was lucky to grow up in that environment in Gstaad, and I remember him. I remember him arriving at Menuhin's house and going out onto the lawn and unpacking the tabla, and Ravi Shankar coming, then sitting down on the grass, and then to start to play this beautiful music. And the sounds and the sights and the colors and everything that came from that was, as a young child, I was very small. This must have been 1976, I think, or 7.
And there were no cows with bells around their
necks. There were, but they were enchanted.
All right.
They were enchanted. So that's, already several decades later.
Yes, it is. I mean, I met my father when I was 2 days old, and my mother brought me in from the nursing home where I was born, and handed me over to him. I was the first son to be born in the family. There were 3 daughters before, and so he takes me in his arms, and what you're supposed to do is whisper a prayer in the ear of the child. The father does that. So he puts his lips to my ear, and instead of a prayer, he sings rhythms.
Oh, really?
He goes, and my mother got very upset, saying, "What is this? You're supposed to do the prayers." And he says to her, "But dear, this is my prayer.
Wow.
This is how I pray, and this is how he will pray." So then from there on in, every day he would hold me in his arms and sing rhythms in my ear. And so without me knowing about it or having any, say in it, like, no, I don't want to, or yes, I want to, I was already a student learning at that time.
We're in this very difficult time right now, this pandemic, and the world is changing and has changed. Part of this series is to shed a light on freelance musicians and also on the next generation, on younger artists.
Yes.
Coming as a world famous and established artist as you are, what do you feel about the future, especially for young artists nowadays?
There are a lot of musicians, especially in India, because in India we don't have a system in place in our administration to provide social security or provide any kind of stimulus package to be able to support people who are out of work. And most musicians are self-employed, and especially street musicians and folk musicians and so on. So they are day to day, and so they are in big trouble in India, and we, the ones who are fortunate and lucky, are doing our best to be able to collect funds, to send money to them, to send rations and food and everything to them. So that's going on. But what has happened is that musicians in India have learned and convinced themselves that for now, at least for the next year or so, if not more, virtual concerts, virtual performances, virtual interactions are the only means to be able to go out there and do that. So they are doing that. And I found it very interesting that there are engineers, recording engineers in India, who have come up with these incredible solutions where I'm able to sit in a concert hall in San Francisco and actually play live with a musician in India and be in sync. And so to have that kind of technology in place in India is something. This is very amazing. I see Indian musicians who are now playing together in different cities, but they play as a band together, perform together. So that's what's happening, and I believe that Indian technology or Indian technicians are probably at the forefront of what's happening in this virtual world. So I find myself every time I want to do an Instagram performance or something that I call Aditya Srinivas in Chennai, and I tell him to line it up and organize it, and he helms it. So this is the future for now, for a year and a half or so. But we must not forget, and the people who are listening or watching, or the audiences, must support the arts.
Yes.
I mean, not just wait for the concert halls to open and buy the tickets, but to be able to come online and buy the tickets here, watch the virtual concerts. Yep. And because whatever they provide will help to support and nurture the artists who are the keepers of this art. If they are not there, the art's gone. So it's important for that to happen, and then when the time is right, to come back to the concert halls. Don't get used to the idea, or I can watch it on the computer for the rest of my life. No, this is just temporary, and to watch this, support it, and then when the time is right, come into the concert hall and be person to person with the artists.
We're going to hear now a piece which you very kindly composed for the New Century Chamber Orchestra, and that we recorded for you. We prepared it earlier. It sounds a bit like a cookery program.
Yeah.
Here's one we prepared earlier.
Yes.
But a complex piece, for us at least, but a beautiful piece. Tell us just a little bit about this piece before I introduce it.
Well, the piece came to me because of my interaction with one of the great jazz guitarists of all time, Mr. John McLaughlin. And so this piece is like in tribute to him and his personality and his influence over me for 40 years that we've known each other. And so there was the idea to be able to provide a possibility for three different ways of life in music to exist together. One is the written source, composed source. One is an Indian source. And then the other one is the improv element of jazz. and all of them to exist in one place together. So that's the way the piece came into my head, and it has many layers, many different rhythms that compete with each other, interact, cross each other in various places. It's based in a particular rag known as Charukeshi, which is an Indian raga, and so I've tried to maintain the character of the raga, but at the same time step out just a shade to allow for the harmonic element to live. And again, it's due to you that this is even possible, because I mean, how many classical musicians are there who actually improvise? And so it's great to have you to be able to put in your information into it, your interpretation into it. And so this is how the piece has come together. It has basic melodies that crisscross, basic rhythms that crisscross. So not only the melodic element harmonizes, but the rhythmic element harmonizes as well. So and in tribute to John, I call it J Bhai. J for John, yes. And Bhai in India means brother.
So we're now going to broadcast this world premiere recording of this piece by Zakir Hussain, and in true Home at Home style, we have it here ready to go on the iPad. As I said, a version that we recorded earlier on today, and the musicians of New Century Chamber Orchestra are very privileged to join Zakir Hussain in this. After we've done this, Zakir, it's getting a bit cold here, so perhaps we'll go back in and play something again.
Oh, I'd love to do that.
But first, let's hear this piece.
Okay. you.